For several days, a large werewolf has been scaring the residents here. You know that the werewolf has a wife, and she's the only person who can calm the monster down and help him return to his human form. You have found 3 girls. Each of them might be the werewolf's wife you're looking for. You ask his wife to approach him, but none of the girls admits she's the one you need, so you have to make your own choice. Do you see some wool on the girl's clothes? It's the wolf's fur, which means she's the wife. She walks up to the monster, hugs it, and the werewolf turns into a human. You're hungry. You drop by a pizzeria. The owner of the restaurant says that someone has taken all his weekly earnings from the safe. The thief wore gloves and left no fingerprints. The video cameras were turned off. You know this pizzeria has had several similar incidents over the past year. Every time, the insurance company paid the owner the entire amount that had been stolen. You're sure the owner took his own money to use the insurance again. Take a look at the office and prove that the owner is guilty. Look at the air vent. Behind the grated hatch, you can see the bundles of the stolen money you've been looking for. Suddenly, someone shoved Stacy into the water. Down in the Sea Kingdom, Stacy met Neptune. He was sitting on his throne, surrounded by 3 mermaids. Neptune asked Stacy to return the pearl necklace to his wife. She had recently lost it, and Luke found the necklace on the shore. Can you guess which mermaid is Neptune's wife? The third one. She's the only one who's wearing an engagement ring. When Stacy gave the necklace to its rightful owner, Neptune snapped his fingers. His guards brought Luke. Neptune said, "I'll let you go home safely, but you have to choose the right door." There were demons behind the first door. They were ready to eat anyone who dared to come in. There was lava all over the floor of the room behind the second door. And finally, there was a laser beam that could cut through anything it touched behind the third door. Which door should Stacy and Luke choose? The third one. They can crawl under the beam without touching it. You were in a hurry and forgot to lock the apartment door while leaving. Someone got in and locked the door from the inside, and you had to use the key to open it. You see a human silhouette standing in the shadows and realize that you know this person. Who is it? It's the woman who asked you to help her brother. She was wearing a red bracelet. The silhouette has the same accessory. "I came here to thank you in person. The door was open, but you weren't at home," the woman says. A mysterious biologist invites you to his home for dinner. He takes you down to the basement and puts 3 plates of weird items on the table. One has wild mushrooms with white gills. The second is filled with castor beans. The third has some fish brains. Which one is safe to eat? The plate of fish brains is the only dish that isn't poisonous. Someone got into Matthew's house during a severe rainstorm and took a lot of expensive stuff. The man called the police. They came over and started to interview the neighbors. Nicole said she lived alone and worked from home. She was inside the whole day. Jerry explained he was a chef in an Italian restaurant. He came back from work only half an hour ago. Sophia told the police she hadn't left home because she was ill. Who was the intruder? It was Nicole. She claimed that she'd been inside the entire day, but there was a wet umbrella in the corner. Kim and Ashley are best friends. They decided to spend summer vacation in Italy together. They were very lucky to buy cheap plane tickets. Their flight was at 10 a.m. Unfortunately, when the girls arrived at the airport, they realized it was the wrong one. Now, they have 2 options. To take a high-speed train for $100 to go to the right airport, or stay here and buy tickets for a later flight for $400. What should they choose? The second option. Look at the clock on the wall. It's 9:55 a.m. The boarding for their flight is already over. They won't make it even if they take a high-speed train. Kim and Ashley bought new tickets. They went to the airport restaurant to drink coffee. But one weird detail scared Kim away. She suggested they should leave that place as soon as possible. What did Kim see? This woman over there is a zombie. Wow! How did she get through security? When it was time to finally board the plane, it turned out there were no more economy class seats left. Kim and Ashley were offered to fly in business class. There, the girls saw 3 people. When the flight attendant served them fresh juice, she whispered that Kim and Ashley were extremely lucky. They were about to travel next to a famous Italian billionaire. Can you guess which of these passengers is the billionaire? This glamorous lady is a good candidate, but it's very unlikely a billionaire will wear a 100% polyester coat. This guy's business suit is very elegant, but look at his shoes. They seem quite cheap and worn out. This funny gentleman must be the real billionaire. Although his outfit is rather casual, his gold watch looks very expensive. Once, a bank was robbed. The police suspected that one of the bank security guards had helped the criminals. Detective Justin had to question 3 of them. The first security guard told him he had heard some shouting and rushed there, but by the time he arrived, the criminals had already been gone. The second security guard explained he had been drinking a cup of coffee at that moment and hadn't even heard anything. And the third guard said he had run after the thieves, but he had to lace his boots. Without a second thought, he crouched near an emergency exit. At that very moment, the door opened and hit him on the head. When he came back, the criminals had been gone. Justin immediately understood which guard was guilty. Who was it? It was the third guard. All emergency doors open outwards for safety reasons. The police have been looking for Kyle for 2 days. The guy went hiking and never came back. Finally, he was found. Someone had hit him on the head and left him lying in the bushes. Kyle only managed to say, "Friend," in a weak voice, and lost consciousness. The police officers had 3 suspects, all of them Kyle's friends. Zachary said he spent the last days at work getting ready for a conference. Jesse told the detective he'd sprained his ankle and had been in bed for 4 days. And Billy explained he'd been to New York for business. The man even showed the police officers his boarding pass. Who's behind the accident with Kyle? Police immediately noticed that Billy had showed just 1 boarding pass. Then how did he get back from New York? His story sounds fishy. Uh-oh. Tommy was exploring old caves outside the city when he got trapped in a mysterious dungeon. There were 3 ways out, but only one of them was safe. Behind the first door, a fire was raging. Behind the second door, there was acid rain which could melt any substance within seconds. Behind the third door, there was a huge brown bear that hadn't eaten for 2 years. Which way should Tommy choose? Tommy should choose the third way. No animal can go for 2 years without food and survive. Barely, haha. It was a stormy day and it had been raining for several hours straight. A car accident happened in a tunnel. The yellow car crashed into the red one. The driver of the yellow car said it had been raining so heavily he hadn't seen anything. So the accident wasn't totally his fault, but the police asked the man to stop lying and claimed it was all his fault. Why? The accident happened in the tunnel. It couldn't be raining there. Mrs. Cabell is the owner of a small company producing expensive designer cups. On Friday, when the working week was finally over, she got a call from her bank. The woman found out that someone had stolen all the money she had saved. Mrs. Cabell realized it must have been one of her workers. So she asked each of them what they had been doing that day. Sloan, a sales manager, said she'd been talking to their clients and looking for new ones. Atticus, a potter, said that he always made 1 cup a day, and he showed all the cups he had done that week. Sierra, a designer, said that she'd been working. but also admitted she hadn't really been productive that day because of some family issues. Who lied? Atticus. There are 5 working days in the regular week. The man said he made 1 mug a day, but he only showed 4 mugs. It means he missed 1 day of work.
Bella and Shelley are sisters and best friends. One weekend, their parents went on vacation. Before leaving, they strictly forbade Bella and Shelley to have parties in the house. But the sisters didn't listen and invited all their friends as soon as their parents left. After the party, the entire house was a mess. So, Bella and Shelley hired a cleaning lady to get rid of any evidence of the party. When their parents arrived home, their mother, Jessica, began to yell, "I told you, no parties in this house!" How did she know? The house is too clean. There was dust on this glass vase when the parents left, but now it's fresh and clean. Jessica asked Bella and Shelley to mow the backyard lawn. None of the sisters wanted to do this annoying task, so Shelley offered an easy way out. She put 2 cards in a hat and said, "I wrote mow on the first card and chill on the second. Pull a card and choose your destiny." Bella wasn't so naive. She suspected that Shelley was cheating and put both cards with mow written on them. But no one would believe her if she just tried to expose Shelley. And no one would look at the other card once her fate was decided. What should she do? When asked to draw a card, Bella should pick any and destroy the paper without looking at it. In this case, to decide her fate, they'll have to look at the other card, which also says mow. And this will mean that Shelley should mow the lawn. Over a cup of tea, Bella bet Shelley $10 that she could convert her $50 into $100. Do you think Shelley should accept the bet? There's no logical reason behind accepting it. If Bella isn't able to convert the money, she'll lose the bet. But she has only $10 to lose. Meanwhile, Shelley is supposed to be giving her $50 from her wallet. Thus, even if Shelley wins the bet, she'll still lose $40. Bella and Shelley have a certain number of candies. If Bella gives 1 candy to Shelley, they'll have an equal number of candies. But if Shelley gives 1 candy to Bella, then Shelley will be left with half the number of candies that Bella has. Can you find out the number of candies they have right now? Let's use some math to figure it out. Right now, Shelley has X candies and Bella has Z candies. Now we can sum it up in these equations. X plus 1 equals Z minus 1. Therefore, Z minus X equals 2. Also, X minus 1 equals Z plus 1 divided by 2. Now we know that 2X minus Z equals 3. So, if we equate these two conclusions, we'll get the following. X plus 2 equals 2X minus 3. Now we know that X equals 5 and Z equals 7. Therefore, Shelley has 5 candies and Bella has 7 candies. Shelley was doing laundry and found out that her favorite t-shirt got torn. Can you count the exact number of holes in her t-shirt? The answer is not 3 or 6, which most people must be guessing. The correct number of holes is 10. 1 hole for the neck, 2 holes for the arms, 1 hole for the torso, 3 holes in the front, and 3 holes in the back. Bella went to the basement to find her old books. Suddenly, the bulb burned out. Bella took the new bulb to replace it, but the wires are very tangled. Can you find the correct switch that will turn on the bulb? It's the red switch. The best way to get the answer is to start from the bulb. It's been a long day. Bella finally went to sleep. But when she saw her bedroom, she yelled and ran away. Can you tell what's wrong here? Did you notice this zombie? Bella ran to the living room and shut the door. Is she safe here? Nope. Take a look at the mirror. Some stranger is inside the room. Bella and Shelley went hiking with their friends. 4 of them went into a completely empty lake. And then 8 people came out. How is this possible? Four people were sitting on the shoulders of the other 4 when they were getting inside the lake. The guys made a stop to have a picnic. They began to play football. During their play, Bella's boyfriend, Rob, busted his lips and ears and broke a couple of ribs and thighs. However, he still managed to play a professional match the very next day. How can this be possible? Rob knocked on his food plate accidentally while playing. He had pig lips, ears, and ribs, along with chicken thighs. When he knocked on his plate, he busted his food. On the way home, the guys went through a field. They saw a cow. It walked 30 feet north, 30 feet east, 30 feet south, and finally walked 30 feet west. All this time, where was its tail pointing? Can you solve this mystery? Downwards, of course. The guys rented 4 scooters in 4 different places and hit the road. They agreed to meet in a cafe at the gas station. Here's the map. Can you tell which scooter will reach the destination first? The third one. Bella and Shelley were trying to get the perfect gift for their father's birthday. Finally, they found this beautiful vintage watch, but they couldn't afford it. The seller offered them a deal. "Solve my riddle, and I'll make a 90% discount." The sisters agreed. The seller took out a $50 bill and asked, "What's the easiest way to double my money?" Can you help them solve this mystery? They should put the bill in front of a mirror. The sisters decided to have lunch in a cozy little cafe. The cook offered them tomato soup, mushroom salad, chicken wings, octopus, and mushroom pizza. Can you help them choose the safest food? There are mirror shards in these chicken wings. Probably not the healthiest option. I'm pretty sure those mushrooms are poisonous too. This octopus is still alive, and this soup must be several weeks old. So, Bella and Shelley should choose the mushroom pizza. After lunch, the local barista offered the sisters free coffee if they managed to solve his tricky riddle. Here's the task. Name a 10-letter word in English that can be typed using only the top rows of your computer keyboard. Can you help the ladies get their free coffee? And the correct answer is typewriter. Great job! Shelley got a job at a restaurant. One night, a cook, a cobbler, and a doctor went to dinner together and asked Shelley to split the bill equally among them. When the bill arrived, it was for 4 people. How can this be possible? The 4th person was the night. It was just misspelled as night. Shelley and Bella were walking down the street. Suddenly, they saw this creepy shadow. Can you guess what's going on here? Should they be worried? Nope, it's Halloween. The guy is just walking around and scaring people in his witch costume. See, he's wearing sneakers. Shelley and Bella saw this mysterious magic shop sign and decided to go get some tarot readings. As soon as they entered the shop, a wicked witch locked the door and said, "I will make your biggest dreams come true if you crack my code. But if you fail, you'll stay here forever." Then she gave them the following clues. A. 981. One number is perfectly placed. B. 924. Everything is incorrect. C. 093. Two numbers are part of the code, but are in the wrong places. D. 147. One number is part of the code, but is in the wrong place. E. 783. One number is part of the code, but is in the wrong place. Can you help Shelley and Bella? From clues A and B, we learned that 9 is not in the code. It also means that 8 or 1 is in the code for sure. According to clue B, we know that 9, 2, and 4 are not in the code. From clue C, we know that 0 and 3 are in the final code. Clue E tells us that 7 and 8 are not in the final code because we already know that 3 is. And clue D tells us that 1 is also in the code because 4 and 7 are not. So, the correct code is 301. The witch has fulfilled Shelley and Bella's wishes. They wanted to thank her and decided to prepare her favorite drink from a recipe book. Unfortunately, the last ingredient was encrypted. Can you help them crack the code? They should add a tear of a triton. After visiting the witch, Shelley met a handsome guy, Tom. They had a perfect date. Shelley couldn't believe that he was real. She thought it was an illusion created by the witch's spell. So she decided to test the guy's logical skills. She showed him this list and asked just one question. What do these words have in common? Can you help Tom? If we remove the first letter of each word and place it in the end, you'll be able to read the same word from the beginning and the end. Can you figure out the next number in this sequence? It's 2. To make the puzzle seem harder, all digits are placed apart. In fact, the sequence consists of 2 different sequences. The first one is 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And the second sequence is 9, 18, 36, 72, and so on. Now it's obvious that the next digit should be 2.
There was a heist in the Great Museum of Art. A very valuable and important painting was stolen. A detective investigated the crime scene and managed to find the person who had stolen the painting. However, when the detective asked the thief to give it back, the criminal gave him 3 copies of the same painting. He refused to tell the police which one was original. But the detective immediately figured it out. How do you think he did it? Do you see that each painting has a different frame? But only one of them is similar to the frames of other paintings in the museum. And since this museum is known to use the same style of frames, this one is the original painting. Jeremy was accepted to the best school of witchcraft and wizardry. One of the classes he had to take was about transforming into animals. 3 professors taught that class, and each of them specialized in transforming into one certain animal. Can you tell which professor turns into what kind of animal? Do you see that the first professor has a forked tongue? She must transform into a snake. Have you noticed that the second professor has a lion's tail? Her animal must be a lion. And do you see bear claws the third professor has? Then he must turn into a grizzly bear. Tony was going to study abroad for one semester. He flew into another country, found his new dorm where he was going to stay, and unpacked his stuff. Then he called his parents to inform them he'd arrived. They asked him, "What time is it there?" Tony was pretty tired and jet-lagged, so he couldn't immediately tell what time it was. Can you help Tony figure out the time? Look, the Eiffel Tower and Sydney Opera House views are just posters, but you can actually see Mount Fuji through the window. So, Tony is in Tokyo, and it's 8:45 there. Carly, Zoe woke up one day and found themselves in a weird place that looked like a jail. Which of them will be able to escape? Carly can escape because the bars of her prison cell are made of wax. She'll be able to use the candle on the floor behind her back to melt them. Zoe can also escape. Do you see several rats in the corner that are munching on the bars? It's because the bars of the girl's cell are made of salted breadsticks, and she can eat them and escape. Isabella was a princess and the heir to the throne. One day, an evil witch lured her into an enchanted forest so that she could take over the kingdom. Isabella got lost, but fortunately, she had a magic pendant. The king's magician gave it to her some time ago, claiming it would help her find her way back if she ever got lost. She used the pendant, and 3 spirit animals appeared. The first spirit animal was an owl. The second one was a butterfly, and the third spirit animal was a hawk. Only one of them knew the way back to the castle. But if Isabella chose to follow the wrong animal, she would find herself even further away from her kingdom. Which spirit animal should she follow? Have you noticed the kingdom banner in the throne room? It has a butterfly on it, so it's the official symbol of this kingdom. Isabella should follow the butterfly. Toby was a rich businessman. One day, he came back home from a dinner party and saw that somebody had broken into his house and stolen his expensive watch from his safe. He called the police. They investigated the crime scene and found 3 suspects. Gordon said that at that time, he'd been at home trying to make his teenage kids go to bed. Danny said he'd spent the whole night at a party with his friends. And Matt claimed that he'd been at a movie theater watching a new superhero movie between 12 and 2 a.m. The police immediately realized who'd broken into Toby's house and stolen the watch. Have you figured it out? It was Matt. When Toby arrived home, it was 11:30 p.m., so it doesn't matter where Matt was between 12 and 2 a.m. Elliot was a crazy scientist who was obsessed with the idea of parallel universes. He dedicated his whole life to figuring out how to create portals to other dimensions. One day, he finally succeeded in building a portal machine. When he tried to test it, 3 portals appeared in front of him, and then the machine just blew up. And since he had meddled with the laws of physics, the universe where he lived started to collapse. The scientist had to choose one of the portals to escape through, and fast. The first portal opened to the universe in which Elliot was a supervillain. The second portal opened in the world in which the man was a ruthless king. The third portal opened on the planet where Elliot was an underwater creature. Which portal should he choose? Do you see the portal machine the supervillain Elliot is holding? It's the same as the one that destroyed itself. Apparently, supervillain Elliot is a scientist as well. He might be able to help the real Elliot to bring his original universe back by making a better portal machine. Sally was at a crowded concert. Suddenly, she felt somebody reaching into her bag and pulling out her wallet that only had her credit cards inside. She couldn't see who the person was, but after checking the footage from the surveillance cameras, security guards were able to narrow it down to 3 suspects. Joshua said he had been sharing concert videos on his social media and didn't have anything to do with the theft. Jennifer said she was super rich and didn't need anyone else's wallet with credit cards. She only used cash when she went shopping. Penny said she had been singing along to the song the band had been playing, so she didn't even know what had happened. The security guards immediately figured out who the thief was. Who stole Sally's wallet? Nobody told Jennifer that the wallet contained only credit cards, but somehow she still knew it. She must have stolen it. Mary found a new job in another city, so she had to move. The realtor found 3 options for Mary to choose from and took her to see each of them. First, she brought Mary to apartment number 1, which was located downtown. Second, she took the woman to apartment number 2, which was within walking distance of a subway station. After that, she took Mary to apartment number 3, which was next to a grocery store. Which apartment should Mary choose? Since apartment number 1 has a rat living in it, and apartment number 3 has a crack in one of the walls, Mary should choose apartment number 2. Miss Sanders took her students camping at the weekend. She wanted to tell them about forest plants. During the trip, one of the students wandered off and got lost in the forest. Hours passed, but he couldn't find his way back. The guy felt very hungry, but he didn't have any food with him. That was when he saw 3 different bushes with 3 different kinds of berries in front of him. Only one type of berries was safe to eat, and the other 2 were poisonous. Which berry should he eat as he's waiting to be rescued? Remember the poster that was in the classroom? It stated that these 2 kinds of berries were poisonous, so only these ones are safe to eat. Sandy was driving across the country to visit her family. She was tired of being on the road and wanted to take a break. She saw a diner and stopped there to have something to eat and rest. The diner looked empty, old, and dirty. The waitress told her there were only 3 meal options to choose from and asked her which one she wanted to eat. So, which one looks safe to eat? Do you see the fumes coming from the first meal? They're green. That can't be a good sign. And the third meal has a little bug on it. Yikes! So Sandy should eat the second meal and get the heck out of there. Audrey won the Best Actress Award at a film festival. But when she left the stage and went to give an interview to the reporters, her award was stolen. A police officer arrived and found 3 suspects. The first suspect was Grace, a cleaning lady. She said she had been taking selfies with her favorite celebrities backstage and didn't have anything to do with the award. The second suspect was Gabrielle, a reporter. She said she had stolen the award because she had been with other reporters waiting for her turn to ask Audrey some questions. The third suspect was Catherine, an actress. She said she was not the one who had stolen the award because she had been among guests watching the show. Besides, she already won the Best Actress Award last year. The police officer knew who was lying. And you? take a closer look at the selfie Grace took. You can see Catherine behind, sneaking away with the award. Oliver was attacked in his flat and taken to the hospital. There are 4 suspects, all of them Oliver's neighbors. Wow, I'd find another apartment. Amelia said she'd been walking in the park since early morning. Henry explained he had been painting in his studio and had heard nothing. Jacob said he had been repairing his car. Sophia answered she'd been taking a bath for the past 3 hours. Look at these people's hands and try to figure out who's lying. It's a bit strange that Jacob, who was repairing his car, and Henry, who was painting, both have such clean hands. But they could be wearing gloves. On the other hand, Sophia's hands and fingers don't have wrinkles. But it would be a natural skin reaction after 3 hours in a bathtub. Sophia, you've been caught smooth-handed. The police found out there was a new smuggler in town. 3 people were under suspicion: Luna, a school bus driver, Jackson, a fire truck driver, and Daniel, an ambulance driver. All of them claimed to have been busy with their work since the very morning. Can you figure out who's the smuggler? Look at the car Daniel drives. On such vehicles, the word ambulance is normally written backward. It's done so that other drivers can instantly read the inverted word in their rearview mirrors. Well, it seems Daniel has given himself away. It was the day when Jacob was supposed to be discharged from the hospital. He had spent a couple of months there and underwent several surgeries. His doctor told him he was going to be fine. It was safe for Jacob to leave the hospital. But the guy didn't believe these promises. In low spirits, he walked home. On the way, he accidentally bumps into an elderly lady. She gets furious and started to shout at Jacob. But instead of arguing back, he hugged the woman and ran home. Why? Jacob had hearing loss. He didn't believe his problem could be helped. But when he heard the woman shouting at him, he realized the doctor had told him the truth. Maybe the doctor should have shouted. Chloe stayed late at the office that day. When she was driving home, the woman was worn out. At one moment, she even started to doze off. That's when it happened. She spun off the road and crashed through the fence that was on her way. She couldn't control the car anymore. It slipped down a steep hill and ended up in a lake. Chloe couldn't move her arms. They were stuck. She couldn't undo her seatbelt or open the door. The car sank to the bottom of the lake. Was Chloe doomed? Rescuers arrived 3 hours later. The woman was still in the car, but she was alive. How did she survive? After the car hit the bottom of the lake, the water only came up to Chloe's throat. It was a very shallow lake. Good thing, huh? It was Jack's birthday, and the fellow got a present he had been dreaming about for ages – a motorbike. The next morning, he rode his bike to college and left it at the parking lot. During lunchtime, Jack decided to check on his motorbike. Imagine his horror when he found out someone had broken the mirrors. The security guard told Jack only 3 other people had left his building in the afternoon. They were Owen and Sam, 2 best friends, and Layla, the girl who once liked Jack but got turned down by him. Owen said he and Sam had gone to the campus cafe to get sandwiches for lunch. Sam confirmed this. He then added the bike could have been damaged by Layla out of revenge. But Layla told Jack her mother had visited her and they had spent 2 hours together. So, who's lying? Owen has a paper bag with food delivery written on it. It means the guys ordered their lunch, not bought it in the cafe. They broke Jack's mirrors and tried to frame Layla. Not a good reflection on them, huh? Detective Taylor was chasing a dangerous criminal. Suddenly, the man entered a hospital. Oh no, there are hundreds of rooms there. Luckily, it was raining, and the criminal left footprints on the hospital floor. The detective followed them and got into a small room. There were 3 people there, all covered in bandages from head to toe. But one of them was a fake patient. Who? It was the dude in the middle. He didn't even have a medical chart next to his bed. Very quick job on the bandages, though. The CEO of a large company called the police. He was sure that one of his employees, Victoria, had stolen a memory card with secret information. She was going to sell it to their competitors. The police arrived at Victoria's house, but the woman didn't let them in without a warrant. The officers had to leave to get all the necessary papers. By the time they were back, Victoria had already been sitting in her car, ready to drive off. The police officers arrested the woman. They searched her car and clothes, but found nothing. And then, when they were about to give up, one of the detectives realized where Victoria kept the memory card. Can you figure it out? When the police first came to her, the woman had her hair down. But after that, Victoria changed her hairstyle. The memory card is in her bun. Yep, Victoria and her sticky bun. Michael was going home from the gym when everything went black. When he regained consciousness, he found out he was in a locked room. Next to the door, there was a computer with a keyboard. On the screen, there was a riddle. Michael had to write the correct answer and the door would open. The riddle went like this. It makes 2 people out of 1. What is it? Michael typed the needed word and the door opened. He was free to go. What was the answer? It's a mirror. Oh, I was guessing a buzzsaw, but this one is better, and not as messy. 2 best friends, Emily and Luna, came to a popular and expensive hair salon. At first, the administrator told the girls they had just one available hairstylist. But after making a phone call, she happily announced she had found another hairdresser. Emily and Luna could have their hair done at the same time. But in the process, it dawned on the girls that one of the hairstylists was fake. Which one? Both hairstylists are using regular scissors, but instead of hairspray, the one on the left is holding a can of bug spray. Yeah, that's a big clue right there. A man on a bike grabbed Sarah's bag with all her documents, money, and smartphone and sped off. The only way the girl can get her bag back is by taking someone's car and driving after the criminal. There are 3 vehicles parked nearby. Which one can Sarah break into and drive off? Borrow. A man is sitting in the blue car. That's no good. If she decides to take the red car, CCTV will spot her. Her only option is the brown vehicle. Oh, and Sarah, don't forget to return the wheels when you get your bag back, otherwise you'll be Grand Theft Sarah. Mary and her younger brother Alex were mushroom hunting in the forest. Wait, mushroom hunting? What do? Sneak up on them so they don't escape? Anyway, they started a quarrel. Alex got angry and ran away. After several minutes, Mary rushed after him. She was still fuming, but also worried. Soon, the girl reached a small river. A man was sitting on the shore. Did you see a teenager here?" Mary asked. "Yep, he's just taken a boat and made it to the other side." But Mary didn't believe the man. Why? The boat is indeed on the other side, but the paddles are lying next to the man. How could the boy cross the river without them? So, where's Alex? Kidnapped by the escaped mushrooms? We may never know. Ella came to a party that took place in her best friend's house. It was a riddle party. All the guests had to crack mysteries and participate in different challenges. Ella's task was to get out of a locked room in the basement. The girl was blindfolded, taken downstairs, and left alone. After pulling the piece of cloth off her eyes, Ella noticed the door had a code lock. She also spotted a sheet of paper lying on the floor next to the door. There were 4 flowers drawn there. Ella looked at them for a while and entered the correct code. The door opened and the girl joined the party. So, what was the code? Ella counted the petals on each flower. The code was 5748. Carter was visiting his friend Mateo, who lived in another city. Mateo loved riddles. In the evening, he challenged Carter to get the key to the guest room where the guy was supposed to be sleeping. Mateo dropped the key in the bucket filled with cold water and told Carter to get it. But he couldn't touch the water or use anything to pull the key out. That night, Carter slept in the guest room. How did he get the key? He put the bucket over a fire. The water started to boil and soon evaporated. After that, Carter picked the key up. Mateo was steamed. Nora was an insurance agent. Once, her client called her early in the morning. The woman was in tears. At night, someone had broken into her house. By the time the woman had enough courage to go downstairs, the thief had already taken all the valuables. When she looked out of the window, the man was running away. "Do you remember what he looked like?" Nora asked. The client answered, "It was still dark outside. I understood it was a man, tall and thin. He had dark hair and was wearing a V-neck t-shirt." Nora immediately realized her client had staged the burglary. How did she figure it out? It was dark, and the man was running away from the client's house. Then how could the woman see he was wearing a V-neck t-shirt? Beats me.
Rachel had been dreaming of becoming a famous actress. Finally, her dream was about to come true. A famed talent agency had invited Rachel for an interview. She arrived at the office to meet her new agent early in the morning. There were 4 people in the conference room. Can you tell which one is Rachel's agent? This guy is the only person who doesn't have an employee badge, so he's probably a guest. This man is wearing a classy, expensive suit, but he brought coffee for everyone, so he's an assistant. This lady's mug says "World's Best Lawyer," so she's probably responsible for legal issues. And this relaxed lady over there is Rachel's agent, Zoe. Zoe offered Rachel to take a seat. Which place should Rachel choose? This chair is missing one leg. Someone has spilled coffee on this chair. The barista has written "The Boss" on the drink in this cup and left it on the table next to this chair. And someone has left a sweater on this chair. So, Rachel has only one option, and here it is. First of all, Zoe decided to check how smart Rachel was and offered her this puzzle. She used 3 pencils to make this triangle. Rachel's task was to create a perfect square by moving just 1 pencil. Can you help her? Here's the answer. After the meeting, Zoe unboxed a delivery from a popular writer. He sent Zoe his new masterpiece in secret. Zoe didn't say anything about this to her colleagues, but one of them was actually trying to steal the script. Can you guess who this person is? It's the assistant. He's using his front camera to take pictures of the mirrored ceiling while Zoe is looking through the script. Zoe brought Rachel to her first audition. Rachel joined other actresses in a line. They were all competing for the lead role in a new series. The main character had poor eyesight, so all actresses put on fake glasses to get into character. Rachel didn't do well enough, and another actress, Sally, got the job. Rachel was very upset. But suddenly, Sally fell to the floor. She was unconscious, and Rachel called an ambulance. Doctors said that someone had poisoned Sally, but all the actresses ate the same snacks and drank the same water. Doctors checked the food, and it was fine. Can you guess what happened there? This actress gave Sally a wet wipe to clean her glasses. The wipe was poisoned. The next day, Rachel arrived at a theater to meet Stan. He was a famous director. She noticed 5 weird things about this place right away. What about you? Can you see them too? Something's wrong with the gravity, in particular with this chandelier that isn't hanging from the ceiling as it should. The wind that the fan creates is blowing to the right, but this actress's hair is flowing to the left. There are human footsteps on the ceiling. The spotlights are red, but the lighting on the stage is blue. And this ballerina's shadow is falling in the wrong direction. Stan introduced Rachel to his favorite actors, Josh, Steven, and Tyler. They were triplets that always joked around, but this time they agreed that one of them would tell the truth and the other 2 would lie. They told Rachel about their game. She had to guess their names. The first guy said that he was Josh. The second introduced himself as Steven, and the third guy said, "The second person always tells the truth." Can you figure out who is who? If the third guy is telling the truth, then so is the second. But only one brother was supposed to be honest. So the third guy must be lying. This means the second brother is lying too. So then, the first guy must be telling the truth. He is Josh. The second guy is neither Josh nor Steven. He's Tyler. And the third brother is Steven. Stan offered Rachel to play a princess in his new production. Rachel went to the dressing room to apply makeup. Suddenly, she heard a scream. Rachel ran out of the room and saw the main star of the play on the stage covered in paint. Rachel questioned the suspects. Ron, an assistant, claimed that he'd been eating his sandwich on the balcony when it happened. Lily, a stylist, was on the phone with her husband. And Stacy, a cleaner, said she'd been cleaning the bathroom at that moment. Who's guilty? Ron. He's holding a sandwich, and it's still unwrapped. Now that Rachel got a job, she needed a place to stay in Hollywood. She started looking for an apartment and went to 3 agencies. Each agency showed her one apartment. Rachel liked them all, but when she examined the apartments, she realized that there were scammers among the realtors. Rachel looked at the documents attentively. Which apartment should she choose? Rachel chose the third option. The first apartment is on the 6th floor. But that's impossible because the building only has 5 floors. And according to the description of the second apartment, its construction will be finished in 2025. This is 2022, by the way. But Rachel needs an apartment immediately. Rachel rented the third apartment and moved in right away. But something was wrong with the bathroom there. Can you see it? How is she supposed to flush? Can you see anything weird here? There's no shower drain. Rachel heard the doorbell ring. Her neighbors, Peter and Victor, brought her 2 cakes. but only one of them was edible. Can you tell which one? Victor's cake is sprinkled with almond flakes, while Peter's cake is decorated with human nails. The next day, Zoe texted Rachel to check how she was doing. Rachel sent her this selfie and said, "Alone at home, learning my lines." Zoe sent Rachel this reply, "What a liar you are." Why? If Rachel's alone, who's that guy? Zoe took Rachel to a party and introduced her to Nick, an eccentric billionaire who was financing one of Zoe's movie projects. They had a brief conversation, and then Rachel lost him in the crowd. In a while, Rachel noticed 3 guys facing away from her. Each of them looked exactly like Nick. Can you tell who the real Nick is? This guy has a tattoo on his hand, while Nick didn't have it. And this guy's suit is fake. They wrote the brand name with a mistake. Nick offered for Rachel to sing karaoke. The girls sang a song, and Nick liked it so much that he offered her a suitcase full of gold. But he wouldn't reward just anyone. Only smart people deserved his money. To get the gold, Rachel had to crack a riddle. Nick showed her 4 rare coins. He said there was something wrong with 3 of them. Can you figure out which coin is real? People who lived at that time didn't call their era BCE. This coin is from the future. Take a look at the date. There weren't cars in 1365. So here's the only real coin. Rachel used an app to call a taxi to take her precious suitcase home. She saw 3 identical cars in the parking lot. Each of the 3 drivers claimed that Rachel had ordered their car. Which driver should Rachel choose? The third one. Take a look at the first taxi. There's a creepy guy hiding in the back seat, and the second car is missing a wheel. Zoe was having a party at her villa. She noticed that her son, Harry, was eating in his room with some lady. But Zoe didn't know who she was. The woman got very curious. So, after they left, she sneaked into her son's room to find some hints. There were 3 girls at her party: Lily, Jennifer, and Diana. Zoe immediately guessed who was with her son. What about you? Harry is dating Jennifer. Look at the dishes on the table. There's a lipstick stain on the fork. Jennifer is the only girl wearing red lipstick. In the morning, Rachel went for a run in the park. On her way there, she met this woman. And a minute later, she saw another woman, absolutely the same. Rachel thought it was extremely bizarre. But, in reality, there were 5 differences between these 2 ladies. Can you see them? Here they are. Rachel continued her run and saw these 2 guys on a boat in the river. And a couple of minutes later, she noticed these fishermen. Can you spot any differences? There are 5 differences between these 2 pictures. Have you found them all? Rachel stopped because she needed to tie her shoelaces. Suddenly, she saw these 2 women with backpacks.
Uh-oh.
Can you spot 5 differences between them? Right, here they are. Rachel arrived at her apartment building and found her neighbor, Peter, unconscious at the bottom of the stairs. The scene in front of her eyes was so awful that Rachel fainted, and the concierge carried her home. In the evening, after her nap, Rachel left her apartment. And guess what? In the lobby, she came across Peter again. But this time, he was energetic and happy. He was also drinking some juice. How did he survive? Look, he's a vampire! In the morning, Zoe called Rachel and asked her to come to the agency immediately. When Rachel saw the office, she was shocked. It was a mess. Someone had stained the walls with paint, and broken furniture and torn documents were everywhere. Zoe questioned 3 suspects. Dan, an assistant, said that he'd been partying all night. Many people could confirm that. Jessica, a lawyer, said, "Who do you think I am? I love my job. Otherwise, I would have already quit." And Sarah, a copywriter, said that she'd been the last one to leave the office. And she had locked the door, that's for sure. Who's lying? Jessica. All the mugs are broken, except for hers. World's best lawyer. The woman wanted to get rid of some documents, so she faked a robbery.
I have some more riddles for you today. Let's start with the easy ones for a warm-up. Can you find the odd one out? Yep, here it is. Here's another one. Find an odd one out here then. Perfect, here it is. How about this one? Right here. Did you find it? And it's getting harder. What about the odd one out here? Look, it's this one. All the other hands are the right ones, and this one is the only left hand. Now I'll show you 2 pictures. Your task is to find 5 differences between them. Ready? Here they are. How many did you spot? Let's do it one more time. Find 5 differences here. Keep your eyes wide open. So did you manage to do it? I think you're now prepared for more hardcore tasks. Let's start with decoding. Detective Callum has been searching for a missing girl, Riley, for 3 weeks. He was in his office going through the case for the 100th time when he got an anonymous email saying, "Can you guess what's written here?" It's just written in reverse order. If you read it from right to left, the message turns into, "The girl is in a hidden room beneath the Central Cafe. Bring $500 and I will tell you the passcode." Someone robbed a bank, and Detective Callum was leading the investigation. There were 2 robbers, but the police managed to catch only one of them, Dante. Dante refused to name his accomplice, but the police had 3 suspects, Bree, Ivory, and Ronan. Detective Callum took a brief look at them and knew exactly who the second robber was. Who was it, and how did he know? It's Ivory. Look, she has the exact same tattoo on her wrist as Dante. Holland went to work and asked her boyfriend, Kyler, to walk the dog. Kyler agreed, but then his friend called him and suggested to come over to play a new video game. So, Kyler decided to skip the dog walk and went straight to his friends. Holland and he met right outside the house when they were both going back home. Kyler said that he'd walked the dog and then went to play with his friend. But Holland knew that he was lying. How? It's winter, so just look at the footprints. There are Holland's footprints on the snow going both ways, and Kyler's footprints going both ways too. but there are no footprints of the dog. Someone in a little town was stealing bicycles. Every time someone's bike was stolen, the owner would find a business card with 2 emojis printed on it. The police had 3 main suspects: Ocean Walker, Rebecca Smith, and Damian Jones. Who is the robber? The emojis signify the name. They are a wave and a person walking, so the robber must be Mr. Ocean Walker. On Wednesday, after a break, Nash came to his desk and found a short love note written in red ink. It wasn't signed, but Nash had 3 girls in mind, so he asked each of them if she had written him the note. Layla said that she'd been chatting with her friends and didn't write any notes. Dawn said that she was busy all break finishing her homework. Oakley said that she had been in the bathroom and had just come back. Who do you think wrote the note? Look, Oakley's hands are covered in ink. It's blue ink, but still. If she really was in the bathroom, her hands would be clean. So she must be lying, and she must be the one who wrote that note. Adley was kidnapped and woke up in a dungeon. There were 3 ways out, but they all looked dangerous. Behind one door, there were many little robots that were ready to attack her. Behind the second door, there were 3 trained tigers. Behind the third door, there were 3 big and very hungry dogs. Which way should Adley choose to get out safely? The best choice must be the first door. Although they're robots, they're still super small and probably can't cause her much harm. Right before a restaurant was about to open, someone had stolen all the money from the cashier's desk. A cook said that he was working in the kitchen and didn't have any free time. The security guy said that he was in the bathroom and didn't see anything. The waiter said that there was a suspicious visitor peeking around. Who do you think stole the money? The restaurant was still closed and there couldn't be any visitors, so the waiter must have lied and is probably guilty. Ned works in a club, and his job is to check people's ID cards and not to let suspicious people or folks under 21 in. Take a look at ID cards and help him decide if he can let each visitor in or not. Here's the first one. What do you think? She seems fine. Let her in. Okay, here's the next visitor. What do you say? June 31st does not exist. There are just 30 days in June, so nope. What about this guy? Something is wrong once again. Even though February 29th theoretically exists, there was no February 29th in 1977. It's every year that can be divided by 4. Okay, what do you think about this girl? I don't see anything suspicious about her. Here's another candidate for the club. What do you think? Well, he is 22, and he seems fine to me. Let him in. A student was having an oral chemistry exam and was struggling with his last task. His professor decided to help him and have some fun, so he said that instead of the task, the student could guess his daughter's name. He only had one guess, but there was a hint. He wrote down several numbers: 32, 10, 14, 16. What's the professor's daughter's name? It's a chemistry class and chemistry professor, so there must be something related to chemistry. Look, there's even a periodic table in the background to help you. The 32nd element is germanium, or Ge, and the 10th one is neon, or Ne, and the 14th one is silicon, or Si, and finally, the 16th element is sulfur, or S. Together, they form the name Genesis. A bank was robbed, but they couldn't find the robber. A week later, at night, Detective Callum woke up from a call from a local shop's owner. He said that he found the money under his terrace. Detective Callum arrived, but there was only half of the money stolen. The man said that he had seen a man by his shop a week ago. It was a full moon, so he could see that the man had red hair and was wearing a dark hoodie. Still, the shop owner was arrested. Why? The shop owner said it was a full moon a week ago, but look, it's a full moon right now, so the man must be lying about something. In history class, students were asked to prepare a presentation about their ancestors. Edwin told about his great-great-grandpa who moved to New York and started as a salesman and then built a huge business. He even showed a photograph of his young grandpa in New York, but no one believed Edwin's story. Why? Even though the picture is black and white and looks old, old New York looks very much like modern New York, with dozens of skyscrapers. The class noticed and figured out that it definitely wasn't a real photo. Royce called the police and reported that someone had robbed his house. Detective Callum arrived and asked Royce to tell exactly what happened. Royce said that he had walked into his room and saw someone getting out of the window. It was still open because Royce didn't care to close it or touch anything before the police arrived. He checked his wardrobe and found that his savings had been stolen. Detective Callum closed the case. Why? The robber couldn't go out the window without stepping on the bed, but the bed is perfectly made, so it looks like no one was leaving through the window. Kaya was studying in the library. She went to the bathroom and left her things on the desk. When she returned, she found that her wallet had been stolen. She called the police and they interrogated the 3 students who were also in the library. Andre said that he had left the library right after Kaya to get a drink from the vending machine and hadn't touched any of her things. Poppy said that she was studying the whole time and not paying attention to anything. Rhea said that she was in the other part of the library looking for a book she needed and hadn't seen anything suspicious either. Who stole the wallet? It was Andre. He said that he had left to get a drink in a vending machine, but look, there's no drinks in the vending machine, only snacks. A young man named Colton was living with his best friend Cassidy. One morning, he called the police because Cassidy wasn't breathing. He said that he'd been working all day and had returned home late, so he hadn't seen her or talked to her for over a day. In the morning, he found her in bed like that. Last night, Cassidy had a headache and had to take many pills, so maybe that was the reason. Colton was immediately arrested. Why? Colton obviously didn't communicate with Cassidy, but he still somehow knew what she was doing in the evening. He must have come up with all of it, as he is probably guilty.
Jessica is walking down a cold street in an abandoned city. The temperature is so low that steam is coming out of her mouth. She turns the corner and notices a cart filled with food and bottles of water. It's a real treasure, especially in a world where the entire civilization is almost completely destroyed. But as soon as the girl touches the cart, 3 zombies come out of the building. They're approaching Jessica, stretching out their hands toward her. She grabs the cart and runs away, but then she stops. She understands that they are not zombies, but people. How has she figured it out? All these zombies have steam coming out of their mouths. That means they're breathing and they're alive. One famous movie studio hires new staff: lighting and sound engineers, a director of photography, a mechanic, a gaffer, prop artist, stunt performers, and an editor. But they all need to demonstrate their professional skills to get this job. The candidates have a week to make a short movie. On Monday, they start. Actors and actresses laugh and cry, sound engineers record all their emotions, the DOP captures beautiful pictures, stunt performers are amazing. Prop artists create a small town with incredible decorations. 1 week later, the studio managers are watching the movie. It's terrible. None of the candidates gets the job. Why did this happen? Why couldn't they make a good movie? There was no director among them, and no screenwriter to write a script. Two friends are sitting at the same table in a cafe. One of them is speaking about the extinction of dinosaurs. He's saying scientists are going to get the genetic code of these ancient creatures. The second friend is talking about his sister's party. There were a lot of cool people, great music, and delicious food. Other people sitting in the cafe are annoyed by the guy's loud voices. But why is this dialogue so strange? Why is one of the guys talking about dinosaurs and the other is telling him about a party? What's going on here? These two guys aren't speaking to each other. They're talking on their phones through headphones. It's nighttime. Three girls are standing in line at an ATM inside a bank. The first girl is getting some banknotes. The second one is looking around. The third girl is typing on her phone. Which one is a thief? Well, they're all robbers. The bank is closed. Take a look at the sign on the door. It says open, so the closed side is turned toward the street. "Where's my cake?" the chef screams. Assistants and junior cooks are running around the kitchen. A steak is burning on a frying pan. The kitchen is filled with smoke. A plate falls to the floor and shatters. The chef screams again, "Where's my cake? Who took it?" Everyone says they've been cooking. None of them wants to admit eating the cake. The chef doesn't believe them. Who do you think stole the cake? Nobody. The cake is in the oven, see? Jack is in a cold cell. There's only bare ground under his feet. In the cell, there's one window, but it's impossible to escape through because it's located too high. There are no stairs and no chairs, just a shovel. Jack has no water and no food. He needs to get out of there in 2 days, but he can't dig a tunnel since the walls are too thick and go deep underground. Jack will get exhausted long before he digs his way to freedom. So, how can he escape? He needs to dig a large hole in the ground and use the dirt to make a small hill. He can then climb it and reach the window. Marty walks around an IT university building. 3 people are following him and discussing something. Marty enters the Hall of Holograms. People walk inside too. Marty sits down on a chair. As for the 3 people, they go on the stage, still talking. Some of them are holograms. But who? This guy has a flashing nail on his right index finger. This girl has 2 left hands. The girl in the middle is slightly transparent. They all seem to be holograms. But wait a minute. Take a look at Marty. He's sitting on a chair, but his body isn't touching the surface of the seat. He's not real either. It's early morning. Sam leaves the house and goes to the lake. The sun hasn't risen yet. The water is crystal clear. Frogs are croaking in the distance. Sam takes several photos of nature and one selfie. He posts the pictures and writes this caption: "I've had a great run. There is nothing better than a morning workout, my dear followers. Have a great day." After that, the guy returns home and goes back to bed. He sleeps until lunch and then takes his phone and sees hundreds of comments. "Ha ha ha, I wish I had such a run." Dude, why do you deceive us like that? Here it is, a real day of the champion. Obviously, people have found out that Sam didn't run in the morning. But how? He wrote that he had just had a run, but his face isn't red and he isn't sweaty at all. There are 4 different countries on one distant continent. Each of these countries has its own emblem with one simple symbol. The same number of people live in each of the countries: 9 ordinary citizens and 1 monster. 1 queen, 1 king, and 1 prince. 2 jesters sometimes drop by these kingdoms. What is this continent? It's a deck of cards. It contains 9 regular cards: ace, queen, king, jack, and joker. Once, on a cold winter evening, someone broke into a bakery. When the baker came to the building in the morning, he noticed that the lock was broken. He called the police and reported a break-in. Then he went inside and realized that the thief hadn't stolen anything. At that moment, the police arrived. The baker told him that the place hadn't been robbed, but a police officer inspected the room and declared that someone had still broken the law. What happened there? There are almost imperceptible footprints leading to the pantry. The thief must have hidden there to wait for the baker to receive the day's earnings. Mickey has been wandering in a desert for several hours. He's tired, thirsty, hungry, and sleepy. He notices a big house standing on the hot sand. Mickey goes inside and sees a massive block of ice in the center. Someone must have put it there for a reason. Mickey licks the ice, but it doesn't quench his thirst. He decides to wait. It takes a couple of seconds for 1 drop of water to evaporate in the desert, so the ice should melt soon. The guy leaves the building and goes for a walk. Several hours later, he returns to the house, but nothing has changed. The ice hasn't melted. How is this possible? There are air conditioners on the ceiling. They keep the temperature in the room low and prevent the ice from melting. Florence, Anya, and Margot are walking along the beach, telling one another about the past week. All the girls look wealthy and successful, but several people are taking photos of them. It means that at least one of these girls is a celebrity. But who? It's Anya. Look, that guy is wearing a t-shirt with her face on it. Marcus is leaving a large shopping mall. He pulls his phone out of the pocket and accidentally drops it. Oh no, the screen is cracked. Marcus gets into a taxi and goes to a phone repair service. He sees dozens of shops. Each of them offers its own services. Battery replacement, the best service in the city. Let's fix your microphone, and dozens of others. Help Marcus choose where to go. Do you see a small store with the "We can change the screen glass" sign? This is what Marcus needs. Somewhere at sea, a huge ship is traveling. People on the deck are having fun, speaking, drinking cocktails, eating delicious food, enjoying beautiful seascapes. This is a passenger liner. It doesn't have any secret mission. The passengers are ordinary people with ordinary jobs. They discuss the weather, new theater plays, music, books, and travel destinations. They all seem to be intelligent and educated. The strange thing is that no one takes any photos and posts them on the internet. Okay, the internet may not be working so far from the shore, but why don't they take selfies? Who said this cruise was taking place nowadays? It happened before the era of smartphones and the internet. A young guy is sitting on hot sand somewhere in the desert. There are several boxes, cans, sandbags, and water bottles around him. The guy looks up. He sees a giant balloon flying further and further away. There are two people in the gondola. They're waving and wishing him luck. A broken match lies on the guy's palm. What do you think happened here? Three people were flying in a hot air balloon over a desert. At some point, they began to run out of fuel. To prolong the flight, they decided to drop their cargo. Then they realized it was also necessary to get rid of one person. This way, the balloon's weight would decrease and it would consume less fuel. The travelers decided to cast lots. Whoever got a broken match would have to stay in the desert. This guy lost. Ironically, his name is Sandy. Don't worry, he gets rescued in about an hour by a limousine from the Burj Khalifa Hotel in Dubai. He'll be in luxury, while the other two people are stuck in a hot air balloon over the desert. Who's the loser now?
Imagine you got into a portal leading to the multiverse. It's like a trip from one world to another. You'll have to solve completely different, random, strange, and psychedelic riddles. Listen carefully, and you'll solve them all. One prisoner has been in a dungeon for many years. His room is small, dirty, and cold. There's a table with delicious food on it in the next room, behind the iron door. Somebody brings new food every week. The door leading to this room is about several inches thick. During all these years, the prisoner somehow manages to get into that room and enjoy delicious food. How does he do it? No one mentioned the door to that room was locked. A lonely wanderer passes through the sands of the Sahara. He notices the outlines of an ancient temple in the distance. Food and water are inside this building. He's approaching the building, but a huge sphinx appears in front of the entrance. It tells the wanderer that the way inside the temple is only allowed to those who can solve the riddle. Tell me, wanderer, you have 3 body parts that begin and end with the same letter. Name them, and I'll let you through, the sphinx says. The eye, says the wanderer. Without thinking twice, he names the second body part. It's the throat. Time passes. He still can't name the third body part. The sphinx demands an immediate response. What should the wanderer answer? It's the second eye. An old sailor picked up a treasure chest from the seabed. As soon as he takes 1 gold coin from there, a pirate appears in front of him. "How dare you touch my treasures?" the pirate says. "You're doomed to spend half your life at sea and the other half on land." The sailor is old and he doesn't know how much time he has left to live. How can he spend half of his remaining life in the water? He can do it if he spends 1 day at sea and the other day on land. You're out of luck. You find yourself on a small island during the battle of 2 phoenixes. There's fire everywhere. You run away towards the shore to the opposite part of the island. It's covered with dry grass. The wind drives the flame in your direction. You can't hide in the water because the kraken is over there. How will you escape from the fire? You need to move away from the shore in the direction of the approaching flame and set the grass on fire. The wind will spread the fire you started towards the sea. The main fire has not reached you yet. You're standing on the site between 2 fires going in one direction. As soon as the small fire reaches the sea and goes out, you come to the shore and wait for the main fire. It won't reach you because there's nothing left to burn. You've spent several days in the jungle in search of an ancient artifact. You have a spear, a bottle of water, and a flashlight. You climb a hill and look at the rainforest. You hear the sound of crunching branches from below. You notice a lion. What will you do? Use a spear? Scream to scare away the animal? Or should you give it some water? Make up your mind. Time's running out. You've noticed the lion, but who said the lion had noticed you? Just wait for it to leave. An old man is sitting in the hall among young students. He can hardly see the teacher who entered the hall. The teacher carefully looks at all the students and informs them that there's just one question they have to answer to pass the exam. He takes a shiny billiard ball out of his briefcase and puts it on the table. Prove that this ball doesn't exist, the teacher says. The exam ends in a few hours. All students write their answers on a piece of paper, and almost all of them get a bad grade. In the end, the old man with poor eyesight approaches the teacher. He gives him a paper with only 2 words on it. The teacher gives the old man the highest score. What was written on his sheet of paper? Which ball? The old man wrote. Now you're in a dark dungeon. You're looking for a werewolf to defeat it. At this point, your torch goes out. You hear a growl behind you. It's scared. "I'm sorry, Mr. Werewolf," you say, and rush to the exit as fast as you can. You run out of the dungeon and find yourself in a field. 3 paths are in front of you. A pit with snakes, a road with scorpions, and a poisonous lake. What will you choose? Can you see a hat on the water in the right part of the lake? This means that the lake is frozen. Just run on it. As soon as you cross the lake, you see a little puppy coming out of the dungeon. It barks at you and runs back into the dungeon. You're in an old tavern. Robbers, wizards, and pirates are all around you. The young magician puts a small box on the table and says, "There are 3 cents in here, but only 2 coins. One of them is not 1 cent. How can this be possible?" What coins are inside the box? One coin is 2 cents, and the other one is a 1-cent coin. The magician said that only one of the 2 cents is not a 1-cent coin. You're walking through a dark forest and notice a door. It's just standing there by itself. You open it, take a step, and you find yourself in a wonderful pink world. There are pink rivers and pink trees there. You see a 1-story pink house and go inside. All the furniture is pink. A meowing pink cat is walking around. You walk down the corridor to the stairs leading to the 2nd floor. What color is this staircase? There are no stairs in the house. It's a 1-story building, remember? You and hundreds of other farmers roam the desert. You've lost your crops because of drought. There is almost no water. You go towards the sea to start a new life, but at this moment, clouds are accumulating over the whole plain. Lightning flashes in the black sky. A heavy downpour falls on the ground. All the people are screaming with joy and dancing in the rain. After a few seconds, you get soaked to the skin and freeze. You look around at the crowd of soaked people and notice one man among them. Despite the downpour, not a single hair on his head got wet. How is this possible? The man is bald. You wake up inside an airplane because of a loud engine. You don't remember how you got here and don't know what's going on. You get up from your chair and find no other people on the plane. You walk forward, look into the cockpit, and oh no, the pilots are not there! You look around in search of a parachute, but don't find anything. You look out the window and decide to take a desperate step. You open the emergency exit and jump out of the plane. You land on the asphalt unharmed. How is this possible? The plane wasn't flying anywhere. It was standing still on the ground. You're driving a car nervously looking in the rearview mirror. No one seems to be following you. The stars and the moon are not visible because of the clouds. The road seems empty. You're driving with your headlights off. No one should notice you. At this moment, an old woman dressed in a black suit crosses the road. The moon is not shining. The headlights are off. She is dressed in black. Despite all these factors, you slow down, stop the car, and let the old lady cross the road. How did you notice her? No one said it happened at night. You were driving in the afternoon. You're climbing to the top of the highest mountain on the planet Flycilium. You're the first person in history who manages to do this. Once you reach the top, you will receive a cash prize from the Galactic Tourism Federation. The whole planet is covered with snow and ice. It's very cold, dry, and lifeless here. The only place with green grass and warm air is the peak where you're heading now. Exhausted, you finally reach your goal and fall to the ground. However, the Galactic Tourism Federation refuses to pay you. Why is that? Did you notice shoe marks on the grass? It means that someone was here before you. A girl walks into an old antique store. Her mouth is covered with duct tape, but she's okay with it. She approaches the seller and tries to tell them what she needs using gestures. She sticks her finger in her left ear and puts her fist to the right ear. Then she starts rotating her fist. The seller understands the girl wants to buy a pencil sharpener. She pays and leaves. Then a man with a blindfold enters the store. He wants to buy scissors. How should he explain this to the seller? He can just say it. He has a blindfold over his eyes, not over his mouth. And we're done with riddles. Now it's time to go back to your universe. While you're flying there through space and time, let's count the number of your correct answers. 0 to 3 points. Don't get upset, at least you tried. You'll do better next time. 4 to 8 points. Not so bad, but not great either. These were not the easiest riddles. 9 to 11 points. It's good, but you could have done better. If you pay more attention to what the riddles say, you'll understand what the catch is. 12 to 14 points. It's difficult to take you by surprise. You can find the right solution in any strange situation. 15 points. You're an absolute winner. If you have managed to solve all 15 riddles, you're a real champion of attentiveness and resourcefulness. Okay, this is a joke. There were only 14 riddles in this video.
Holly went to the supermarket to buy a watermelon. She found these 4 watermelons, but only one of them is edible. Can you guess which one? The first watermelon is a hologram. See those flashing pixels? The tail of the second watermelon is a green snake, probably not the safest choice. And the fourth watermelon has little cracks. So, Holly should choose the third watermelon. One dark, cold night, Harry and Pam were chilling together in their country house. Harry was watching a movie while his wife Pam enjoyed her favorite mystery book. Suddenly, all electricity went out. Harry decided to go to bed, but Pam decided to finish the book. There was no artificial light around, but this fact didn't stop Pam. How is that possible? Pam was listening to an audiobook on her phone. It's big on Saturday and Sunday. It's small on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's absent on Monday and Friday. What are we talking about? It's the letter S. Bella and Ken took a flight to Europe to celebrate their honeymoon. It took them 2.5 hours to reach the destination. After spending 2 weeks together, they flew back home. However, it took 150 minutes this time, even though the plane flew at the same speed. Can you guess why? Turns out that 2.5 hours are exactly 150 minutes. Karen went camping in a jungle with her 3 best friends. They had a wonderful dinner and went to sleep. In the morning, Karen woke up first and found out that someone had eaten all the food from the bag. She questioned her friends. Josh said, "I was very tired and fell asleep as soon as my head touched the pillow. I don't know what happened." Leah said, "I left the tent in the middle of the night to go to the toilet. The food was in the bag near the tree where we left it." Wendy said, "I left the tent at night and spent some time stargazing. I ate just 1 chocolate, I swear." Who ate the food? It was the monkey who was hiding in the tree. See those footprints around the bag? They are definitely not human. Gerald is a college dean. Somebody stole his car this morning. Soon the police found it across the street. The thief hit a pole and escaped. The police interviewed 3 suspects. Holly said, "I was busy having classes all morning. Then I went for a walk with my friends." Brian said, "I was checking the test papers." Rob said, "I skipped classes and spent the day at my girlfriend's studio." Can you guess who stole the car? It was Holly. Take a closer look inside the car. She lost one of her earrings. The combined age of Jenny and Jasmine is 49 years old. Jenny is twice as old as Jasmine was when Jenny was as old as Jasmine is now. How old are the sisters? Jenny is 28 and Jasmine is 21. Lisa likes grapes but not potatoes. She likes squash but not lettuce. Also, she likes peas but not onions. Following the same rule, will she like pumpkins or apples? Pumpkins, because Lisa only prefers things that grow on vines. Which of the following words don't belong to this group and why? Courts. All the other words are anagrams of each other. 2 people participated in a contest. They had to hold something. Finally, the jury announced the winner. It was a person with their hands and feet tied. How can this be possible? It's all simple. The contestants had to hold their breath, and the tied person managed to hold it the longest. Becky is thinking about a 7-letter word that we read very often. Letters 5, 6, and 7 grow every year. Letters 3 and 4 are the same. Letters 3, 2, and 5 cover over 70% of the world. What word is Becky thinking of? The correct answer is message. Our age grows every year, and the sea covers over 70% of the planet. Amy is looking at Nick, and Nick is looking at Mia. Amy is married, and Mia is not. Is a married person looking at the unmarried person? Will you go with a yes or a no? Or is this information insufficient? The correct answer is yes. 2 combinations are possible here. If Nick is married, Mia, who is unmarried, is looking at him, who is married. If Nick is unmarried, we still have Amy, who is married. In this case, she's looking at Nick, who is single, which meets the requirements too. 5 friends were eating apples. Amy finished before Bob, but after Kat. Dan finished before Eve, but after Bob. Can you figure out the exact order in which they finished the apples? Kat, Amy, Bob, Dan, and Eve. Eric's job is to guard a supermarket parking lot. One day, he was walking around the area as usual and noticed that someone had parked the car in the middle of the driveway. He questioned 4 women. "Ladies, who is the owner of this car?" All 4 women replied, "It's not my car." Eric took a closer look at the vehicle and figured out its owner right away. Can you guess which of these women is the owner of the car? It's the First Lady. She's the only person who's not wearing a bag. Her bag is in the car. Peter came home in the evening and found his car wrecked. His 3 roommates were there. Peter decided to find out who was guilty, so he questioned them. Josh replied, "I didn't touch your car. I was walking the dog." Mike said, "That wasn't me. I was playing football with my friend." And Will said, "Nothing special happened today. I was just hanging out with our neighbors." Can you spot the liar? It's Will. He said he'd visited the neighbors, but nobody lives in this abandoned house. Plus, his cheek looks like he was in a crash. Sophie was sleeping. Suddenly, a robber broke into her apartment. He locked Sophie in the bathroom and asked her to stay quiet. Then, the robber began to collect cash and jewelry around the apartment. Suddenly, the phone started ringing. The robber told Sophie to pick up and talk without giving away the situation. Sophie picked up the phone. It was her husband. She said, "Oh, hi, darling. Is it an emergency, darling? Give me a call when you land. I'll cook your favorite meal that will help you relax after your business trip." Then she hung up. 10 minutes later, the police arrived at Sophie's house and caught the robber. Can you guess how the police learned about the robbery? Sophie played with the mute buttons. She pressed mute on specific parts of her conversation to make her husband only hear "emergency," "call," and "help." And he called the police right away. Rick woke up in a weird basement and saw 3 doors. He has only one chance to escape. If he enters one of the doors, he won't be able to use them again. The first door leads to a room with high-voltage wires hanging above the wet floor. Behind the second door, there's a room filled with water and piranhas swimming in it. The third door leads to a space where flesh-melting acid rain is falling from the ceiling. Which door is more or less safe to enter? Rick should choose the first door. He'll be okay if he won't let his body come in contact with the wires and the wet floor at the same time. Jerry called his wife Robin and told her that he would be home by 7 o'clock. They didn't plan anything special for that evening, but when he arrived at 2 minutes past 7, Robin was furious. Why was she so angry? Any ideas? She thought her husband would come home after work by 7 p.m., but he appeared by 7:02 a.m. the next morning. When the day after tomorrow is yesterday, today will be as far from Wednesday as today was from Wednesday when the day before yesterday was tomorrow. What is the day after this day? Can you guess? It's Thursday. Harry and Barry are 2 magicians performing this evening in 2 nightclubs on the same street. But one of them is fake. Can you guess who? It's Barry. Take a closer look under the magician's tuxedo. On the right, you can see a restaurant employee badge with his name on it. He must be a waiter who came instead of the real magician. A monkey, a squirrel, and a bird are racing to the top of a coconut tree. Who will get the banana first? The monkey, the squirrel, or the bird? None of them, because bananas don't grow on coconut trees. Bonnie is cooking dinner. She has 3 stoves, a gas stove, a wood stove, and a coal stove, but only one match. What should she light first of all? The match! You are a bus driver. 9 people get on the bus, and 3 people get on. Then 2 more people get on, and another 1 gets off. Finally, 4 more people get on, and 2 get off again. How old is the bus driver? Whatever your age is, remember the question? You're the driver.
Nancy and Mike were going to the Carnival of Riddles, which was scheduled to be in their town during the weekend. It was a very popular carnival that was traveling the country, and everybody was so excited. So, when they arrived, they saw a very long line, and it seemed like they had to wait for many hours to be able to get in. But the ticket salesman left his booth and walked in front of the crowd. He said that he was going to give a riddle to everyone. Since this was the Carnival of Riddles, those who could answer correctly would be able to get inside earlier than others. The riddle was this: I am the beginning of eternity. I am the end of time and space. I am the start of every end. I am the end of every place. What am I? The answer is the letter E. Nancy and Mike were so happy that they knew the answer and didn't have to wait to get in. But even though they were able to move in front of the line, they still had to pay for the tickets. But they were so expensive. The salesman offered them another riddle. If they could answer it, he would give them a 50% discount. I have an X number of candy apples. If I count them by 3s, the remainder is 2. If I count them by 5s, the remainder is 3. If I count them by 7s, the remainder is 2. How many candy apples do I have? Mike was kind of a genius, so he knew the answer immediately. Do you? The answer is 23. Nancy and Mike were glad to have been able to save some cash to buy snacks. Nancy wanted to get something sweet for herself and her brother, so they went to the candy booth. They had 3 options to choose from. They could either buy cotton candy, candy cane, or a candy apple. Which one should they pick? Take a closer look at the cotton candy. There's a teeny tiny spider stuck inside. Yikes! And did you notice that little apple worm inside the candy apple? That's never good. So, they should buy the candy cane. Before leaving the candy booth, Mike wanted to get a gumball too. However, when he inserted his coin into the gumball vending machine, he realized that something was strange. Hey! Do you see it too? Look inside the machine carefully. Not everything in there is a gumball. This and that are eggs. How weird is that? Hey! After eating their candy, they came upon a tent with a sign that said, "Enter if you want to see real magic." They were intrigued, so they decided to walk in. There were 3 different magicians. The first was holding cards in his hands. Then he made them disappear. The second one also had cards, but he was making them levitate. And the third one put a pen through a card, but the card was unharmed after. Only one of them was capable of real magic, and the others were just doing tricks. Can you tell who? Take a closer look at the first magician's sleeves. You can see a corner of the card. He didn't make them disappear, he just hid them. The second magician's cards are attached to a clear thread. You can notice it from where the sunlight hits. So the third one is the real deal. Mike was a fan of all things scary, so he convinced his sister to take the haunted house ride. As their cart moved inside the dark tunnel, they encountered 3 different monsters along the way: a zombie, a ghost, and a mummy. Little did they know that one of them was a real monster. Can you tell which one? Take a look at the zombie. Its makeup is kind of melting, which means that it must be an actor. As for the mummy, look at his ankle. His skin slightly shows under all that mummy gauze. So he must be a dressed-up actor as well. That makes the ghost the real monster. So creepy. Nancy didn't enjoy the haunted house ride. She wanted her next ride to be something relaxing, so she chose the carousel. Mike decided to skip this one to explore the carnival more. They agreed to meet later. When Nancy arrived at the carousel, she saw that all the horse seats were taken, except 3. But only one of them looked safe to sit on. Which one is that? The second horse mount is cracked. It's not wise to pick that one. And the third horse is slowly moving back and forth even though the carousel is not rotating yet. Its screws must be loose or something. So she should choose the first one. It's the cutest one anyway. As Nancy was enjoying the carousel, Mike decided to check out the Hall of Mirrors. The information board said that only one person was allowed inside. Mike entered and had so much fun enjoying all the funny reflections of himself on the weird mirrors. But then, suddenly, he screamed with fear. Why is that? Take a closer look at the mirror reflections. One of them doesn't belong to Mike, so he is apparently not the only one inside, even though the sign said he would be. Mike was so scared of the unexpected reflection. He ran out of the Hall of Mirrors immediately, but as he did, he tripped on a stone and twisted his ankle. So he decided to visit the first aid tent to get some ice. When he walked in, he saw that the nurse was in panic and in no condition to help him out because there were 3 pregnant women sitting in front of her, all claiming they were going to give birth now. However, Mike noticed that one of them was lying and faking her pregnancy. Can you tell who? Girl number 3 is clearly the liar. Take a look at the ultrasound picture in her hand. It has the first girl's name on it. She must have stolen it from her, so she's only pretending to be pregnant. Once the real pregnant ladies left for the hospital, Mike was able to get some ice for his ankle and went to meet his sister. At that moment, they heard an announcement coming from the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, gather up to see the strongest man alive. Don't believe me? I'm not lying. Here he comes. See him with your own eyes. Nancy and Mike wanted to see who this man was, so they joined the crowd. A muscular-looking man entered the stage. He said,
I will prove to you how strong I am by breaking this thing with my bare hands. But first, you have to guess what it is. Here is my riddle to you. There was a greenhouse. Inside the greenhouse, there was a white house. Inside the white house, there was a red house. Inside the red house, there were lots of little ones. Nancy knew the answer, so she yelled it out. Can you guess? It's a watermelon, and the strongman was able to break it with his bare hands indeed. So cool! Nancy and Mike were tired, so they decided to call it a day and go home. But before that, they wanted to get a souvenir from the carnival. They picked a beautiful fridge magnet. When they paid for it, the gift shop salesman put 3 cups upside down on the table and placed their money under one of them. He said he would give their money back and the magnet for free if they could guess which cup had their money after he performed his trick. Watch carefully. Nancy knew where the money was immediately. How about you? It's here. You thought it was under this one, right? Watch it in slow motion again. Do you see the salesman putting the money under that one with a quick hand movement? Nancy noticed that. What a fun day!